Heather Hill. Hey, listen, I am so grateful that you are joining us. First of all, your slogan, Fight Like Hill. I love everything about it. And I also love how your background is it's just inspiring. And I've done a little bit of research on where you've come from, and I want to start with asking you so you can share with our listeners what motivated you to get into politics.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show, Elizabeth. I greatly appreciate it. Well, my husband and I have had over 50 foster children come through our home. We've had one live birth. We've been married for over 30 years. Went through the whole infertility issues,
Yeah.
all of that. Adopted our daughter out of a private agency. But then we and I did. Our kids were almost grown, so we decided to open up our home to any and all foster children that needed a place to be, that they couldn't place anywhere else. But one of our foster children, Donovan Lewis, was shot by law enforcement. We had just got the kids out of the house and we had all these great plans. So it wasn't anything that I considered, but I started praying about it. And almost exactly a year later, my second foster child was shot and killed by law enforcement officers, Takaya Young. So at that time, I said, God, I hear you, and I'm going to listen to you. I know you're calling me into this fight, and here we go. My husband and I, we're a team. He's my best friend, so we do everything together. And he said he would support me 100%. And here I am, just a regular, everyday Ohioan that is looking to make a change and do the best that I can do as Ohio's next governor. My goal is not just to win this race, but it's to be the best governor that Ohio has ever had.
Well, and the first female, right? Like you, and it's
Absolutely.
so funny. We had Governor Hochul on the show, and I said to her, sometimes it is kind of depressing that you're the first female governor of New York. Why aren't you the third? Why aren't you the fourth? For us to say you should be the first.
Well, you're absolutely right. I would be the first female governor elected in Ohio. I will also be the first ever Black female governor elected in the United States of America. So, it's a historical race. But more important than that is the fact that I'm the best for Ohio. I know that out of everybody that's running, that I'm the one that can move Ohio forward.
Heather, I would think that you'd be uplifted by the Republican Party.
Yeah, I would think so too, but that's not the way that it worked. And one thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking a lot about right now is the fact that women in the Republican Party were just not respected. But I'm not going to give up. I am not going to give up. I had even considered running as an independent because I was like, I'm not going to give up on this fight. God called me to this fight. I don't know where I'm going to end up. We supported other candidates, worked on their campaigns. But when it was time for me to step into the light, they said no. And they have done everything possible to keep me from moving forward, even contacting media, telling them not to interview me, down to excluding me from every event that they have. So, but this is the thing. We don't give up. We don't give up. If people like me and you gave up, women would not be as advanced as we are. So, that's important to me, that people know that even if you're met with disdain and controversy, you keep moving forward, because that's who we are. We don't give up.
On paper, you are an asset to the Republican Party. I mean, my mind is blown right now. And I say that I would think that they'd be putting you on a platter. Now, I do understand that Ramaswamy has been endorsed, and and I get it. I get everything about it.
Consider when I decided to run, we didn't even know Ramaswamy was running. We had heard little things. So there was absolutely, I was the first to announce, and then Dave Yost, and then Ramaswamy. So, everybody was surprised that he actually was fired from Doge and decided to run for governor.
Why do you think he's running?
Ohio is a consolation prize for him. I really do. I feel like he hasn't been successful anywhere else, so he's like, why not run for governor in Ohio and see how that works? But he's just not being received well because he's not a regular person. He's not a business owner. My lieutenant governor and I are both small business owners in Ohio. We have been small business owners for years. Even during COVID, we stuck it out in Ohio because this is our home and this is what we believe in. Ramaswamy, as soon as he came up against anything at all, moved him out of the state of Ohio. And that's not okay. That's not okay, because when if you're running for governor, we need to know that you're going to stick this out, good, bad, ugly. You're not going to give up on Ohio. And I think I have proven more than ever be expected that I am in this for the long haul, that I love Ohio, and I will do everything in my power to move Ohio forward and to offer Ohioans representation for the first time. Ohioans are tired of having out of touch billionaires run our state, and it's getting us nowhere. So we're going to fight with everything we have, to make sure that Ohio is a good place for our kids and our grandkids.
To me, Ohio is like the poster child of being a family friendly. It's the Midwest. You can have a successful business. You can live a comfortable life, get anywhere in the United States that you want to get to. Is it really still in that golden era? Do you think Ohio is a great place to be right now?
I do believe that Ohio is the golden place. We are truly the heart of it all. I believe 100% in Ohioans that we have the best of everything here. We have the best people. We have natural resources. We have a great climate. We have great waterways, to add to industry and manufacturing. We have so much to offer here.
Taking to the governor's mansion, I assume you would make that better. That there are flaws that you are witnessing right now, and policies that are failing American families. Is that right?
Absolutely. The way that people are being treated is the number one problem. The way that we don't have true representation is a problem. And that's why people are gravitating towards me. People come to me and they ask me, how are you continually, it's been almost 2 years that I've been campaigning, and people are like, how are you continually campaigning with no support from your party and very little media coverage? And I always tell them that God is providing a way for me, and I believe that 100%. It's been very apparent that the people of Ohio are tired of what they're dealing with. The property taxes, pricing baby boomers out of their homes, making it to where we no longer have the ability to pass on generational wealth to our children and grandchildren. It's literally one thing after the other, and we are tired. And the only way that we are going to be able to change this is by having true representation for the first time. Regular people that step out and run for office is what we're going to have to do to make sure that we are represented.
So I want to step back. The property taxes, you want to provide that relief, right? To
Absolutely.
families.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I am the only candidate that truly supports the complete abolishment of property taxes in Ohio.
Okay. So where would the supplemental income come from?
Well, this is one of our biggest questions when we're campaigning, and
Sure.
it is so cut and dry. We were promised certain things when we passed gambling in Ohio, when we passed marijuana, when we passed the lottery system. All of those things should have went to pay for our first responders and our education system. We're going to do a lot of different things to make sure that this is something that we're able to do and still support our schools and our first responders. First of all, we're going to Doge. We are going to Doge Ohio. Currently, we have over 600 school districts for 88 counties. As you know, I was a school board president. I was the secretary for the Ohio Black Caucus of Ohio School Board Members. So I have a very good grasp of how our school system works and how to finance and keep things on a budget. And that's exactly what we're going to do. That is exactly what we're going to do. There is absolutely no reason why we should have over 600 school districts for 88 counties.
That does actually sound excessive. I mean, that sounds...
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And that's just one example of the things that we're going to do that are going to make this possible.
And your vision, I would assume, doesn't include the federal government. I'm just going to go out on a limb and assume that you support that and that you feel like it should be a state responsibility. And your background may support that as well. Is that right?
Absolutely. I do support that. I believe that it should be on a state level, and it needs to come down to the state. We need to be able to control more of what is happening in the classrooms. And that's how we're going to do that, because when we have state funding, it gives the state more control.
Okay, so you want to give relief to these families with the property tax. You want to work on education reform. When you talk to families, when they say to you, Heather, I'm going to the grocery store and my ground beef is through the roof, you and I can go out on a limb on that. There's a myriad of reasons. But, my eggs are expensive, my food is expensive. Life is just expensive. How are
That
you
is
going to
true.
help?
Well, the way that we're going to help is by putting Ohio first. By putting Ohio first, we're going to open it up and get rid of some of the red tape that makes us more attractive to people that are wanting to expand into our areas: industry, manufacturing, small businesses. Small businesses are truly the backbone of Ohio. And we have never received the respect or the funding that we should as small businesses. And that's going to change under the Heather Hill for Ohio governor. That's going to be a big change for us, because we're going to truly show our support to small businesses, to industry, and to families.
What have you learned the most from families? I mean, you have your history, your anecdote, your foster experiences, raising children. But what are you hearing from families right now that they're really worried about?
Families are exhausted. Families are
Yeah.
exhausted. A lot of I am the only candidate for governor that gives out my private cell phone number. Not only do I schedule, my days last anywhere from 12 to 16-hour days for the last 2 years. I do interviews during the day, like I'm doing with you. I have meetings with any and every business owner, industry, manufacturing that considers coming into Ohio. And then I open up my phones to speak to regular everyday citizens up until midnight every night. I give them half-hour increments, and we talk about what they're facing. We talk about what they think the solution should be, because you know what? This is the thing. I am not doing this for Ohio. I am not doing this to Ohio. I am doing this with Ohio. For the first time, we will be working together to solve these issues that we're facing, because most Ohioans have great solutions for the problems. I speak to the majority of the people that I'm speaking to are about the Epstein files, they're about the data centers, and they're about abolishing property taxes. So, people are just tired, they're exhausted. Just like with the data centers, they were snuck in on the citizens in the neighborhoods that they're in, and that's not the way that we do things. This is America. You should not be able to sneak in something as extreme as data centers that will use up our water, our resources, our electric. They pollute the land. It's just one thing after the other. People are exhausted and they need someone to give them a voice. And that's what we're going to do. This is America. This is Ohio. We should never, under any circumstances, have someone move something into our area that we don't approve of. Just like with all the fighting back and forth about the Springfield, Ohio issues that we're facing right now. The people of Springfield are exhausted. They really are. Governor DeWine moved tons of Haitians into their area and didn't give them an option, didn't say to them, do you feel that this is the best thing for your area? If you notice, he didn't move them to Bexley where he lives. He put them in Springfield, Ohio. And people are just tired. They're bringing in gang activity, drug activity. It's not all sunshine and rainbows like Governor DeWine is trying to make it sound. These people are frustrated. This is their
And
home.
you're talking to them, you're hearing families say this?
Absolutely. And I have been to Springfield. I probably spent a week there altogether over the last 2 years. So that is a very important area. And our senior advisor, Larry Barnett, he lives in Springfield. He is a Vietnam veteran. and he sees what's happening in this area, and he's experienced the devastation of people not being able to drive correctly and them using up the resources that Springfield has for their citizens. It's just literally one thing after the other. And that's what I mean when I say we're going to bring common sense and true representation back to the state of Ohio.
I want to touch on a couple other topics before I let you go. You have kids, so you've had the conversation with emerging technologies and artificial intelligence, and I know you mentioned data centers. So, do you want policies in place to put safeguards around what our kids are exposed to? And these data centers popping up, just like you said. I mean, it's not. You could Google it. It's happening. It is happening in real time.
Absolutely, it's happening. One thing that we are finding out with the Epstein files is how big and how deceptive this has all been. And there's one thing that leads into another, to another, to another. And we're just kind of at the tip of the iceberg now. But this is a whole grooming system, and AI can fit right into that if it's not already planned to fit into that. Um, we have to protect our children. We absolutely have to protect our children, and we're going to have to come up with a solution. Technology is just growing at rapid rates, faster than what we're able to keep up with. And
Yeah.
we have to be on top of it. We have to know what our kids are being subjected to, because they are being groomed. They're being groomed into public school system. They're being groomed in every aspect. So we have to keep our head on a swivel, and we have to watch out for our children.
What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night is worrying about how to get my message out there, because I 100% believe that I am the best for Ohio. And I know whenever I speak to people, whenever I speak to them, they walk into a room not knowing who I am, telling me that they support my opponent. They walk out of the room after meeting me saying, "You have my support 100%." So, my biggest fear is that I don't get my word out there, that people don't hear who I am and what I represent. So, I think that we just need to talk to people, and we need to all realize that we have way more in common than we don't.
Yeah.
And that is truly what keeps me awake at night, just worrying about getting my message out there and being the best I can be for Ohio. I don't want anyone to look at my outward appearance. I don't want them, to fault anything that I'm doing just because of race, color, creed, my gender. I want them to look at who I am and what I represent. We have a whole team with the Heather Hill for Ohio governor. It is not just me. It is a whole team that is ready and willing to work to make Ohio the best it can be.
Amazing. Heather, I'm so grateful for you. I think the T's, I'm going to ask you to come back. I want to talk healthcare, maternity leave, universal child care, and then East Palestine. So put that on the back of your mind so I can pick your brain on all those things. But in the meantime, thank you so much. Good luck. And why don't you give us a ring when you're in the governor's mansion?
Absolutely. And if people want more information, our website is fightlikehill.com. We are desperately looking for donations and volunteers, people to help us get our message out there and help support our campaign.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Heather.
Thank you.